Good afternoon. This is Dr. David back with the Fresh Start with Dr. David podcast. Happy Monday and happy President's Day. I'm glad that you're here today. Today is Monday, February the 17th, 2025. And as you know, there have been a lot of things going on in this country in terms of, plane crashes, government programs and departments, and everything else. But this episode, which is a short, so let me just share that I'm going to do a series of shorts, and shorts are basically short episodes where I talk about a specific topic, and I'll probably talk about some solutions, some options, some different strategies for dealing with it, and things like that. And if you'd like more information, you can just visit my practice at www.ahmhw.com, which is the acronym for my practice, my primary practice, Atlanta Holistic Mental Health and Wellness.com. So it's www.ahmhw.com. And there are free articles there. You can also check out my podcast, Fresh Start with Dr. David, which this should show up there, and recent news articles and things like that. But this short today, and I'm going to try to keep these under 10 minutes. I'm going to go for like somewhere between 5 to 7 minutes just to maintain your attention, is the concept of gratitude. And and I picked today specifically to do this because people say, well, when do you use gratitude? Well, you use it always, but you especially want to use it in situations where maybe you should feel some gratitude and you actually don't, right? And so that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast episode today, because it's President's Day. And even though I'm not happy with the current president and I didn't vote for him, actually, I didn't like either choices. And I usually avoid talking about politics in my podcast. But like I said, this is a short. I'm going to talk a little bit about politics only in the sense that I want to empower you that regardless of who our politicians are, that you can do the best that you can to put yourself and empower yourself to be in the best space and the best place to reach your goals and be successful, right? That's what we all want to do, is be successful. So with that, I'm going to talk about the concept of gratitude. And like I said, I picked this specifically on President's Day because I, in some ways, don't feel some degree of gratitude over who we have as president right now. But I want to change that, because me not feeling a sense of gratitude is not going to help me in this situation. What's going to help me is having an attitude of gratitude regardless of the situation, right? So I came up with a phrase that I think you should use and try using at least for 30 days. Start with it in the morning. And it's this: gratitude is the attitude that will change your altitude, raise your latitude, and broaden your longitude. That's kind of long, but you could shorten it if you wanted to. So if you wanted to, you could say something, for instance, like gratitude is the attitude that will change your altitude, right? That's the short version of it. And it truly is. Gratitude is an outlook, it's a vantage point, it's a position, right? Um, if you want to see the light, you're more likely to see the light if the light is surrounded by darkness, right? If you put a candle in broad daylight, it's hard to see the flame because there's so much other lights around it. But if you light a candle in complete darkness, that's a different story. It's going to shine bright. And that's the difference in context of a situation. And so that's the relationship between two things, is the context, right? So anything can happen in context. And so the context makes a big influence, or huge influence, or factor in determining how outcomes result, right? And that's what decides what kind of results you receive in life and how much success you have. And if you want to be empowered to be successful, then you have to see as many positive things, especially things that are in your control, as possible. And that's why gratitude is so important. And I'm gonna share that with you. The reason why gratitude is so important is because of a concept called focal point. And if you come to my office and work with me, you'll see just how important focal point is because focal point is where you're pointing. That's the direction that you're pointing, right? And as you know, when you drive, the direction you're going is probably the most important thing. In life, the direction that you're going is probably the most important thing. In school and other areas. So whatever you're doing, the direction makes a big difference, right? That's your focal point. And so if your focal point is what you don't have, you're probably going to get more of that. So whatever your focal point is what you focus on, where your attention goes, right? And so if your attention is on the things that you have and the things you should be grateful and thankful for, right? Then you're going to get more of those things. If your attention is focused on what you don't have, then you're going to get actually intuitively more of what you don't want. Now, you know, it's actually intuitive, but the way that we live in many ways is counterintuitive, right? So it's not that that is counterintuitive, it's what we normally do is counterintuitive. Counterintuitively, we live by focusing on the things that we want but don't have, and the things that are wrong but not right. But if you focus on what's right and you focus on what you have, you're going to get more of the right things and more of what you already have, right? And that's the whole idea behind focal point, and that's why gratitude is so important. Um, so whatever you focus on is what you're going to get. And we use this in fight or flight mode all the time. So if you're being chased in the forest or the jungle or somewhere by a scary animal, if you focus on the animal looking at it, you're gonna get that animal attacking you. But if you focus on ahead, what's ahead and getting away, then you're more likely to get away. That's just how it works, right? You and that requires some forebrain kind of activity because you have to make a conscious choice to focus on not what's trying to get your attention, but what you need in order to be successful or to survive, right? If you want to talk about parasympathetic and sympathetic fight or flight response. So you can't focus on what you're scared of. You focus on what you want or what you need or where you want to end up. And that's why gratitude is so important. Gratitude forces you or empowers you to focus on what you have and what you've already achieved, right? Your previous experiences and successes rather than what you don't have or your failures, what you don't have and what you feel or perceive that you failed at in the past. If you focus on failures, you're going to get more failures. If you focus on prior successes and successful experiences, you're going to get more of those, right? So that's why it's so important. Gratitude is the attitude that will change your altitude, raise your latitude, and broaden your longitude, right? And like I said, it's about focusing on what you have versus what you don't have, focusing on what is present versus what is absent, right? And it it makes sense. And we have popular phrases that are based on that. Whether the glass is considered to be half empty or half full or those kind of things, right? No glass is going to be perfectly filled. Um, and no glass is probably going to be perfectly empty. There's something in it, even if it's air, right? Or some kind of particles. But gratitude is important. There's a relationship between gratitude and appreciation. The more you're grateful for things, the more you're going to appreciate what you already have, and the more likely you are to get or obtain more of what you've already received in the past, right? Because you've already received it once. The probability of you receiving it again is great, especially if that's where your attention is focused. And that's also related to the law of attraction. Like things attract, but complementary and supplementary things attract as well, right? Um, and then, like I said, the whole thing about the focal point. Wherever your focus is, that's where your energy is directed. That's where your mind, your thoughts, your feelings are directed. So, whatever you determine or choose or fail to choose your focus as is going to be what you get, right? Therefore, it makes sense specifically at the beginning of each day and at the end of the day to choose in a conscious way what your focal point is going to be. So if I go to sleep tonight, my focal point while I sleep is regenerating my cells and tissues and dreaming and using the other than conscious parts of my mind to help me achieve my goals the next day, right? And when I wake up in the morning, a good place to put my focal point would be on what I want to achieve that day, like my to-do list or my to-do items or whatever those things are, right? So the more you are good about planning your focal point, the better things are going to go. And like I said, gratitude is a great place to start because gratitude is focused on what you have, what's present, what you've achieved, what you've been successful at, what you've previously overcome and experienced, and what you appreciate or have come to appreciate. And, feeling a sense of lack or focusing on what you don't have or what's not present or non appreciation is going to get you more of that. Okay. That's a short by me. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to get more information, feel free to contact my office. You can visit me online at www.ahmhw.com. That's the acronym for Atlanta Holistic Mental Health and Wellness, Atlanta's top number one holistic mental health and wellness practice. We use life coaching here. We use hypnosis. We use a lot of cognitive behavioral techniques. You can check out the website and get free articles. You can subscribe to the Fresh Start with Dr. David podcast, where we talk about a variety of topics from ADD to depression to midlife crisis to adjustment to a situation to grieving, time management, and everything else under the sun. So visit us online, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.